You're listening to Backchat, the podcast that takes you backstage for a chat every Friday on all major platforms. Recorded in Dublin, Ireland, and broadcast around the world. Join Michael O'Reilly and his guest weekly to discuss the entertainment realm and all of its secrets with leading musicians, actors, and entertainers. Before this episode begins, follow us on Instagram at back.chatpodcast and check out our Facebook. But for now, you're listening to Backchat.
Hello and welcome back to Backchat, the podcast that takes you backstage for a chat every 2 weeks now on all major platforms. So I know it's been well over a month since my last upload, but I've kind of had time to think about the future of the show and the concept, and I've decided I'm going to bring it to you guys fortnightly so I can curate the best possible guests for you guys to keep you guys entertained. Nonetheless, I have a really cool guest this week. This week's guest has accumulated over 1 million likes on TikTok. With an army of over 30,000 people behind him, he shares his honest insights as well as his comedic outlook on things. He's kept me and many others laughing during the last few months. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Saviourofhaha, aka Rob Reeves. Rob, how are you?
Man, you made that sound so good.
Hey, thanks.
I was impressed by myself there. Jesus Christ. I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Would you chat to you too if you heard that intro?
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, sorry. Am I allowed to swear?
Whatever you want. You can
Yeah. I definitely would. Wow, it sounds very impressive. But yeah, thank you.
No problem. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. Like, I'm a little bit underslept. I couldn't sleep last night. So I'm not the best sleeper, but I got up early today and I went for a swim in the 40-foot.
Wow, nice.
So I'm kind of operating on low sleep, but other than that, I'm good to go. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually quite well slept, but I haven't been well slept. So I had like 2 dodgy days of sleep, but last night I recharged the batteries, got ready to go for this big day.
That's class.
How are you finding the lockdowns?
I don't even notice. I'm completely ignorant to everything. So I just don't really read the news a lot. Because I just would find it would make me feel not too great. I live a pretty quiet life anyway. Yeah. So I just don't have the most hectic life. So lockdown is, a lot of stuff is the same. You know what I'm saying? For me, if I was a big extroverted guy and I was going, to clubs all the time and stuff, I'd probably really miss it. I'd say a lot of people are really affected, but I kind of haven't been, honestly.
Cool. And I noticed in your videos and stuff, you kind of live near town, do you?
Yeah, I live in the middle of Dublin, yeah.
And have you noticed a change in the city or the people that are in the city?
Okay, here's the change I've noticed. I have seen more violent events in the last 6 months on the streets of Dublin than I have in the last 7 years on the streets of Dublin before that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
I've lived in Dublin for 7.5 years. Basically what I think it is, and I don't know, I haven't read anything like this. I don't know if there's some statistics to say that there's more violence is happening at the moment, but basically what I think it is that obviously lockdown affects kind of everyone's mental health to some degree negatively. Yeah. Some people are on the edge anyway, even when there's no lockdown, and those people, whether they have kind of addiction issues or maybe they're homeless or whatever, go over the edge. And I've seen I've never really I don't feel unsafe in Dublin at the moment. I still don't feel unsafe, but I've certainly, it's the most unsafe I've ever felt. I've seen people fighting over stuff, and I saw a guy getting a scooter robbed the other night and stuff like that. So
Jesus,
that's actually how I feel Dublin has changed. Yeah.
And with the lives that you do, that you've brought back your night lives. I think they're from 8 till 11 p.m. Are they?
Right now they're 8 to 10, used to be 9 to 11. I kind of play around with the times, but yeah, 8 to 10, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
And how did that concept come about? Because it is really hilarious, the people that you end up bumping into and stuff.
Well, actually, how it came about was, this is crazy. 8 years ago, I got my heart broken by a girl, right?
Okay.
And it was this moment in my life where I kind of knew it was just it destroyed me at the time. Now, if it happened, it wouldn't destroy me or anything, but I was just so young. And when you're younger, I don't know. So anyway, it was just this moment in my life where I knew that I needed to be better. Up until that moment, up until I was 21, I lived completely in my comfort zone, and basically fear controlled my life. And then I just realized I needed this thing called confidence. And the way you get that is by doing things that are uncomfortable. So whether it be approaching girls in bars, doing improv comedy shows and acting, like public speaking, martial arts, like singing in public, all this stuff terrified me. And I kind of did it all over the next kind of 5 or 6 years. And that's kind of where it birthed, actually, just this idea of losing your inhibitions.
Yeah.
And then it just is a natural thing. Like, basically, you're asking specifically, where did the live concept come from? It didn't come from anywhere, because I didn't mean to do it. It was just
happened.
I went live, and then somebody said, oh, go outside. And then I went outside, and then I just found myself talking to people, because I've practiced that a lot in my life, the kind of art of talking to people. Yeah. And so then people enjoyed it, and it was funny, and I say funny things to people. I told, I sometimes lie about public figures. I told the guy
I saw the Ryan Tuberty.
Yeah, he did a poo on the street the other night. That's actually true. So basically,
Ryan Tuberty is true. The Ryan Tuberty bit's true.
Yeah.
Explain the video.
Why not?
It's so funny. It's hilarious. I think it's some like Deliveroo guy or something, and he's so confused by the whole thing.
How innocent does he look? He looks like a sort of Bambi, like a doe-eyed kind of deer, like a very innocent guy. I'm cruel, but yeah. So it didn't come about intentionally. It came about from that's the kind of way I live anyway. Well, no, I don't live that way anyway, but basically I've practiced that skill plenty. And so when it comes to entertainment, I'll do that because people enjoy it,
Yeah. And do you have any experience in stand-up comedy or comedy club stuff? And if you have, do you have any funny stories from that?
Genuinely, man, when I said I've done a lot of stuff I'm afraid of in my life, the one thing I haven't yet done is stand-up comedy. Okay. And I think it's because I'm so egoically attached to it. Like, I really want to be a funny person. And probably subconsciously, that's why I've avoided it, because if I fail at that, oh my God, it would destroy me. But I don't think I would fail, because I'd probably fail initially, because you're just, if you've never done something, you're not going to be good at it. But I've actually never done stand-up. I've done improv comedy. Okay. Actually, I've done improv comedy shows, and on my first ever live improv comedy show, I was shitting myself. I got evicted before it. I had this crazy landlord. Okay. Because I was living in an illegal dwelling at the time. And
explain what an illegal dwelling is, by the way.
Okay. Should I say this? Yeah, okay, I will. I was living in an office, allegedly, right? So I was supposed to, you can rent out an office in Dublin, say, yeah, and you're working in the office, and the office might be 24 hours. But then if you're a cheeky fucker, you might actually just kind of live there, because it's lesser rent, because you're not supposed to live there, because Dublin's expensive, right? So this kind of landlord kind of knew we were living there. I was living there, but kind of didn't know, pretended not to know. It was kind of this unspoken thing where he wanted the rent. The place wasn't the nicest place. People weren't queuing up for it. But he also didn't want us to live. So it was this kind of to and fro. So he would sometimes play these games. And basically, he just came out of nowhere one day and said, from now on, the office isn't 24 hours. It's closed at 9 p.m. So that's a polite way of, and it's open at 9 a.m. So that's a polite way of saying, I know you live there and you're not allowed to live there anymore. And so I was kind of fucked. So I had to pack up all my shit and go to my improv gig. And this guy was kind of senile, so I didn't know if he was just fucking with me. I did the improv show. I came back with all my shit, and it turned out he was fucking with me. So it was just a big fuck fest, So that was kind of a weird, stressful, because I was shitting it anyway, but also just being kind of fake evicted,
Did it make the improv show better, do you think?
I don't know. I can't remember what happened in that show, but I was just probably really, really nervous, Yeah. I was probably just really nervous,
And like you said, kind of you've, I'm going to say built up your confidence over the last 8 years.
Yeah.
Was there always something in your mind that wanted to make people laugh or smile? Like, did you always have that sense of you know, kind of not purpose, but like you wanted an entertainment value to come from your come from your communication with people, let's say.
Yeah, I think so. But I think most lads kind of like to, I don't know,
Pull
I
the
think
piss a
that's
bit.
something that men hold quite dear to their hearts. Like, I think every guy wants to be funny, you know? So
For
I
sure.
don't know if it was particularly innate in me to kind of like actually go into comedy, because most people obviously just don't go into comedy, they go into different things. But I watched The Office when I was 18. It's a show, The English Office, and there's an
The
American
better
Office.
one. The UK
Yeah,
one's the
well, I
better
think
one.
it's the better one, but I also love the American Office. But the English Office is my favorite show of all time. And the moment I watched it, I just kind of knew I have to write comedy, and I want to write a sitcom, and I want to act, you know, and I want to kind of do that. Now, I
Yeah.
haven't done that yet, but I've been writing comedy kind of ever since. So that was kind of definitely the moment where I kind of thought, that's actually what I want to do, you know?
Yeah. And I suppose then, like, segueing into showing your comedy to, let's say, the world, or showing your sense of humor to the world, TikTok has been kind of a really weird but wonderful platform to do that. How did
Yeah.
TikTok come about for you? Like, when did
I
you?
was doing YouTube for 5 years unsuccessfully, right?
Hmm.
And I had also, in the acting world, it's quite politically correct. And I think I was actually trying to kind of not be offensive for a long time,
Yeah.
because I was worried about being basically kind of it affecting kind of opportunities and stuff. I went to Latvia. I was in Latvia in 2019 as a game show host on Deal or No Deal Live. I lived in Latvia in 2019, and in Latvia, it's kind of like Ireland was in the 90s. Like, it's a bit it's just like a bit of a throwback vibe. Like, it's not politically correct. People say dodgy shit all the time, you know, and it kind of awoke in me to a more of a fuck it mentality. Anyway, TikTok probably came into my consciousness through a guy called Gary V.
Yes,
And
that entrepreneur guy.
yes. And so he was talking about creators should be on TikTok. If you're a boxing commentator, you should be on TikTok. If your thing is like cooking, you should be on TikTok. Everybody should be on TikTok because it's not saturated.
Yeah.
And I had already been doing YouTube for 5 years, and I got on TikTok. I was on it half-heartedly for a while, but I kind of went viral-ish for the first time maybe last summer. And then the combination of kind of knowing I'm just going to have to really be myself here, not try to not offend people, and just TikTok not being saturated and having the experience of the 5 years kind of led to me for the first time getting any kind of recognition, like for kind of what I kind of do, you know? But that's how it probably came into my consciousness. I don't know if that was the question you asked, but yeah, Gary V, I think.
Yeah, no, that is like that essentially what I was kind of getting at. And then, like, you did, as you said, you had those few kind of videos that made it big. Like one of the ones that are really like was a really big hit, I suppose, was the TikTok where it was like, what's different in your country than other countries, and you had like the kind of normality of rejecting food when when you're at your friend's house, Anna your grand, ah you will, and stuff like that.
Yes.
And through your comedy, I noticed that there's like it's really funny, but you have a sense of like clear rationale, with your comedic value. Like you talk about, cancel culture, and even the Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head thing and stuff like that. Like, I can tell you're trying to evoke opinion from others and tell your opinion while being funny, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. I mean,
like,
yeah,
I
sorry,
suppose
go
what
on.
I was getting at was what was it like to get all those likes on that video initially, going back to the Irish culture videos? I think there was 2 stitches of that guy's video that went really big for you.
Yeah, I can't remember. I did about 5 or 6 or 7 of those kind of stitches with that particular thing. I did one on Irish funerals being kind of such great banter, like, which is quite weird because it's about death, you know.
Yeah.
I did one about it was what's normal in your country that's weird elsewhere. Yeah, I did the refusing food. I did a few different ones. What was it like? I mean, it's cool, you know. It's like a buzz. Like, it's weird kind of trying to do something for ages and really wanting it to happen. And then when it kind of just happens, you kind of just, it's just like, oh, like, you know, whatever, like you're never going to kind of really arrive. And obviously I haven't arrived or anything, or even nearly arrived, but even I'm sure if you're like you're in a big movie or something or whatever it is, like, I don't know if you really arrive or like appreciate the moment sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's just, at the end of the day, it's just a TikTok, you know, but it's cool. Like, I think that one probably has been seen, you know, it probably has like 700,000 views and like 150,000 likes or something, you know, so it's a lot of people.
It's over the million now in views, I think.
Is it? Right. Okay. Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah, no. And even like, I suppose the stuff you have been making is like quite out there as Irish creators go. Have you been in contact, or do you communicate with other Irish TikTok creators at all? You know,
I don't know. I'm a bit older. How old are you?
20.
Yeah. I'm 30 in like a week or two.
Okay.
So I think one of the things is I'm a bit older, but I think there are older Irish TikTokers like, well, I've talked to the random section a little bit.
Yeah, that's
you know
Stephen,
who he is?
Yeah,
Stephen. I've talked to him just a little bit over whatever messenger comments or whatever.
He's an interesting character.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. Like, I appreciate, like, one thing about Stephen is like, I don't like politicians, you know, because I don't think they speak their mind. It's not whether I disagree with them or agree with them. Like, I don't think they speak their mind because I don't think they can actually. Like, I don't think the public allows them to. Like, because if a public politician does actually say something blunt or forthright or, you know, a little bit on the edge of politeness, they get completely ripped to shit for it. So one thing I like about Stephen is that he's kind of the opposite of a politician. You know, I trust that whatever he's telling me, whether I think it's bullshit or completely true, is actually what he thinks. That's what I like about the random section. He'd probably be the guy I've talked to the most, you know. But I haven't talked to anyone really, no. I don't know. I mean, couple of people, to be honest, actually, a couple of sneaky little Irish creators have snuck into my DMs and said like, hey man, I agree with your shit. Like, I just can't say that, but I agree with your shit. You know? Yeah. So I'm not going to out them because I don't want to, you know, ruin their lives. But, you know.
Like, you've had a few of those videos where like people are like, you can see that people are like, he is right, but I don't know if I can say that he is right, you know? Do any kind of things spring to mind when, like, you know, when you've publicly rejected a societal norm? Like, does anything spring to mind, like any videos or anything? Because I'll if you can kind of think of one, I'll straight up say whether I agree or not, you know, that kind of way. Like,
yeah. One has come to mind. Should I say that one? Oh God. Okay, right. Okay, this is quite an easy one, right?
Sure.
There was the stitch of a girl saying something about women not getting paid as much in sports as men, and I stitched with it and said Ronda Rousey was the highest paid athlete, male or female, in MMA of all time at one point in time, 2014-15, because she brought in the most money.
Yeah.
You know, she brought in the most money, and then she retired, and Conor McGregor brought in even more money, so he was the highest paid, and she gets a portion of her pay-per-views, and her pay-per-views are off the charts because she was this unstoppable, you know, I don't want to compare it to Mike Tyson-esque, but in terms of aura, she was unbeatable, and it was so crazy to think she could be beaten until she fought Holly Holm. But basically, it's just, my basic point was, it's the money. It's not complicated. It's easy. We don't have to think about this anymore. It's the money you bring in is the money you get, you know, like the highest paid, the greatest ultimate Frisbee player of all time doesn't get paid as much as the substitute for Scunthorpe United. And the reason is that nobody gives a fuck about ultimate Frisbee. So there's no advertising, there's no money involved. You know what I mean? So that was kind of I think that's pretty straightforward, right? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, and it's really funny because like that video, obviously, like when you think of it that way, it totally destroys the whole concept of equal pay in kind of sport. And I know, because I was looking at that video actually recently, and the comment section is like, if you really want to get into this, who's the highest paid supermodel, you know, because it's definitely not a man. Now I don't know whether that's true or not, but it's that kind of thing. It's like you can't compare, you know, essentially stuff that's incomparable, like, you know, if that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah, like I'm not complaining that I don't know who the biggest model in the world is right now. Let's say it's Naomi Campbell, even though that's 30 years ago. But let's say we're in the 90s and it's Naomi Campbell and Kate Moss. Like I can't remember one male model from that era. I don't think it's because of some sort of agenda against men and that we need to like fix and manipulate people's kind of sociological conditioning to make them be more equal towards men and women in terms of looking at their bodies. What I think it is that we're sort of, I don't know, we prefer to look at women for some, I don't know what it is. You know, like there's more money in female modeling, obviously. So yeah, I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I just think it's kind of human nature, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. And even just going back to like your YouTube before TikTok, even like you've been uploading recently, I saw your video on Owen McDermott, which we're going to get to in a few minutes.
Yeah.
I really thought that it was so funny, and I'd love for you to do it again, was you pretending to recognize people in public.
Oh, no way. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
I thought that was so funny. Even the guy with the camera, and you were like, oh, you're still on the Nikon. Like,
yeah. Oh man, I haven't rewatched that since. Yeah, I didn't know how I felt about those videos. I'd never done pranks before, so I was a bit nervous. But yeah, man, I probably would revisit them. You know, I think it got pretty good. I think it got okay views, that one. So
well, that
maybe I will do it again.
I think like I would definitely be up for you doing that one again. Like especially with your man with the Nikon. Then it like cuts to him later, and he's like, "It was 2005. You have a great memory and everything."
Oh my God. And you know what the crazy part about that is that I was thinking? That guy was basically like, I was like, because I pretended to know him, and he goes, how do you know me? And he goes, did we meet I go, we met at a photography event because he had a camera. And he goes, oh, the one back in 2005. And I go, yeah, but like, sure, listen, I look about 20, like I'm 29. I could look anywhere between probably 27 and 30. I don't know what I look, but you know, if he used his brain, it was like, I wasn't 14 at a photography event with a 40-year-old man being best friends with him, but it's just people don't think, you know, but it's just, yeah, it was pretty funny. I mean, I don't know. I'm always worried that people will see the guy across the street recording and they'll get really aggro, but whatever.
Yeah, I suppose that is a part of it as well, but it's like, it's so funny to evoke how people react to those situations. Because like there's even one guy and he didn't care about the fact that you knew him. He was like trying to hug you and stuff, and he was saying something about a sexy person, and you were like, what is going on? Like
he wanted to, he off camera offered me money to make love to him. Yeah, he was very gay for me, so that was a nice ego boost. Nice. Middle Eastern man or something. I don't know where he's from.
And I suppose on your openness online, do you fear the prospect of an attempt of canceling you, or do you think you're uncancelable?
Well,
or do you believe in cancel culture?
Here's what cancel culture is, okay?
Yeah.
Cancel culture only exists mostly, and there are exceptions, but when you're going down the mainstream media side of things, when you've got your job at RTE, as we might talk about later on, I don't know. I think the libel laws in Ireland are pretty weird, so I don't know about the.
Well, I think
what you're allowed to say.
Done a little bit of. I've done a little bit of kind of homework on this in the past, and I think that once we don't mention any names, that hypothetically we're okay to talk about it if we're talking about something that could have happened in RTE, with someone who works there.
No names.
Yeah.
So what was I saying? So cancel culture. So if you're going down the RTE or the Channel 4, whatever it is, mainstream kind of media thing, right? And you get cancelled. So you say a bad word, or you're accused of doing something to a woman or whatever. And let's say it was just a word, so it's just a slip up and we're all human or whatever. Or let's say the allegation isn't true and da-da-da-da-da. You're going to get cancelled, right? Because it depends on the severity, obviously. Some people kind of get cancelled for a little bit and then come back, but You can only get cancelled really if you're in the mainstream media. That's where like the basically big corporations have an image to kind of uphold. And if somebody's accused of something, even if there's no kind of evidence, they have to distance themselves these days from it. And so, yeah, you're going to lose your radio show, your TV show, your column in a paper, whatever it is. I don't have any of those gigs. So I'm on the internet, and the internet, you can get cancelled all day long. Ultimately, it's about the public's opinion of you. You know, it's about do the public kind of trust you? You know what I mean? And basically, so if something came out about me tomorrow that I was like, say, really rude to you in this interview, and people were like, he was really rude to that guy, let's all cancel him. Like 100,000 people could absolutely hate my guts, but if none of them were kind of into me that much anyway, it doesn't make much of a difference. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't really get kicked off the internet. You can get kicked off these mainstream jobs, but if you're just a YouTuber and you just do something that's slightly unethical in the eyes of many, it's actually, what's that phrase? It's the court of public opinion. It's if people ultimately say he made a mistake, but whatever, like basically if they still watch, they still watch. Now some people go so far they literally get, like Donald Trump got kicked off Twitter, I think, or whatever. Did he?
Yeah, he's banned.
So you can actually get kicked off social media too, but it's just more rare. You really have to kind of screw up, I think, in that sense. You know?
Yeah, it's kind of like the idea of 2 weeks ago, half of Ireland didn't know who Gordon Elliott was, and now almost the whole of Ireland hate him. You know,
right. And if Gordon Elliott was just a horse guy who spoke about horses on a YouTube channel, that's not cancelable, really. It's like, because people will still watch if he just comes out, apologizes, and continues to provide value. But obviously he has lost all these things, but it's because they're, you know, it's companies, you have to be careful with their image. That's kind of what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's like how it kind of seems. Kind of past, hopefully, like when things come back to kind of normal in Ireland and things are opening back up and stuff, would you kind of look to bring kind of a live element to your entertainment online? Like, would you try see if it was plausible to do a small show or something like that, or would you piece something together, or have you thought about that yet?
Yeah, I have. It's crossed my mind, you know, and I do, like, yeah, I would certainly do it if I could sell tickets. If I could sell tickets, I would do that. You know, I could write a show and do it, you know. But yeah, if I could sell tickets, I mean, it can be, you know, it could be lucrative. So yeah, I would do that, but it just depends on selling tickets, obviously, you know.
Yeah. And you kind of briefly mentioned it at the start, but you're swimming in the 40 foot today, you said.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what are kind of the benefits that you're seeing from, you know, swimming in that seawater and stuff? Like I just did an article with someone, or helped out, about sea swimming, and I've talked about it on this in the past. Like, you know, like but do you find it really, like, kind of really good for you, or kind of motivating, or like what kind of reasons are you doing it for?
I do sea swimming maybe once a week, right? But I do cold showers every morning. So that's basically the same thing, right?
Yeah.
There's a guy called Wim Hof who's basically believes that through entering the cold regularly and through breathing, you can heal trauma. In other words, you can feel better in your life. You can have a clearer mental focus. You can, you know, if you're mentally ill, you can heal that mental illness. You can. He discovered this after his wife killed herself. Basically, when I wake up in the morning, I don't feel good a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But when I get into the cold shower for 3 minutes afterwards, I feel great. It's like humbling or something. It's horrible. You know, it's so cold. So in the 40 foot today, what I love about it is just, it's beautiful. Like, it's the salt water. It's absolutely amazing. And it's just, I just think it's a mental health thing. It's
very redemptive, like.
Yeah, it's just has a weird quality to it. I think it's healing, you know. It's like if I'm in a bad mood before I go into the water, after I go into the water, 99% of the time I feel great. Like, you can't put a price on that, you know.
Yeah, no, I swam in a reserve in Wicklow last week,
Wow.
which was an amazing experience. It was like crystal clear water. It was the first time I'd swam in Ireland outdoor, obviously not in a swimming pool, where it wasn't seawater; it was fresh water, and
Whoa.
it was unbelievable and much of the same. Kind of, I think like I would promote it to anyone who can do it at the moment because it is really really good.
And I think it's exploded in lockdown. I think a lot of people are into it now. Like I actually I wasn't into it before lockdown, so
The dry
I'm one of
robe
those.
revolution, as they call it.
It's the what, sorry?
The dry robe revolution.
There you go. I don't have the dry robe yet. I don't want to get the dry robe.
I want
But
an off-brand one. I don't want to have dry robe on my back. I just reject it. I think it's like
yeah, there's something about it. I'm just not. I'm trying to avoid. I don't know
it's
why.
the Southside's answer to the Canada Goose jacket.
There you go. That's why I didn't like it. I felt it in my soul, but you put words to my feelings. So thank you.
No problem. I think, kind of as we come to almost not quite the end, but almost the end of our chat today, Rob.
Yeah.
I think we can, if you like, we maybe to touch on the video you made very recently about that figure in RTE.
Yeah.
If you can, and if you haven't seen the video, I'd suggest heading over to Rob's YouTube channel, it's still Saviourofhaha, isn't it?
Yeah.
Check out his latest YouTube video. It's about a certain figure, and kind of the way you piece the video together is quite humorous, but obviously it's touching on the recent allegations behind against this figure. I'm trying to be very careful, but what was the kind of idea behind doing the video the way you did it?
I tried to shoot the video 3 times, and I didn't know how to come at it, because I think Ireland does have weird libel laws. Even if it's true that an allegation has been made, if you say this person has been accused of, I don't know, I don't really understand it, but I was aware that it was partly, I did it in a sarcastic manner, right? So I basically, because the figure who's been accused of something has actually publicly been a very virtuous type, you know?
Yeah.
A male feminist, probably like a BLM activist, a environmentalist, a
LGBT,
help the poorest, you know, all these types of causes, loudly announcing his virtue to the world. And I often am suspicious about those people because I just don't buy it sometimes, right? Okay, so the video is where I make a list of all the times he's been accused of being a bloody great guy. So, you know, he has this going from, he's a feminist, he's this, he's that, he's just the best guy in the world. And of course, the elephant in the room being that actually what was going on, you know?
What was really happening,
What was really happening behind the scenes, so...
And obviously, it isn't too hard to work out what we're talking about. I think if you were really interested, take to Twitter or whatever. But, like, I suppose going back to what we were talking about earlier on, like, if this is true, the allegations against him, it's this kind of idea of he will be cancelled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, which is fair enough if you do something like that to a certain degree, or how far do you go or whatever. But like, do you kind of have any, like, do you have any empathy for maybe the situation he could be in now, by like in a you know, outside the internet? Like, where is he now? What is he doing now? Is he curled up in a ball?
Yeah.
You know?
Whether he is found guilty or not, his life from a professional standpoint is fucked, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's the times we live in, you know?
Yeah.
Rightly, wrongly, whatever. That's just the truth. Yeah, I do. And I know that sounds, because I've made a video being cynical about him. I've made a video laughing about it, about the situation. But I do worry. I do worry about like there's a book called So You've Been Publicly Shamed. And I actually haven't read the book, but somebody told me about the book. But they said when people go through public shamings, like Monica Lewinsky or whoever, Tiger Woods, whoever, Logan Paul, when he did that thing that he did in the forest, or James Charles when he was accused of doing something with I don't know what it was, being sexually inappropriate, whatever. A huge proportion of these people who go through public shamings consider suicide and commit suicide, right? So that's just, he's in a crisis right now, you know? And yeah, I do feel empathy for that. And it's about, and there is a question there over, I'm a creator. I want to write about things. I want to give my viewpoint about things. I want to be dark about things or funny about things or whatever. But there's also this real world consequence that is also there. And where is that line? And what should you do and what shouldn't you do? Even me doing that harmless prank, right? I don't like, even though it's harmless, I'm not trying to ruin anyone's life or whatever. I don't really like the fact that I'm secretly recording people. It's legal. It's legal. It's immoral. I've never gotten criticized for it. Lots of people do it. But I kind of prefer if, you know, like I don't really kind of like doing that. So I don't know. I definitely do kind of worry about the guy because he's going through a crisis right now that I've never been through in terms of level. Like it's very high scale. Yes, he isn't leaving his house right now. I can almost guarantee it. He's not going to the shop. You know what I mean? That's crazy. Yeah. So you have to have empathy for somebody. But if they did something that's really bad,
it's the outcome of what they've done. You know, like if there is guilt, if he is found guilty of, let's say, what has been suggested, obviously this is the outcome of, you know, acting outside of the law and outside of what's morally right in any situation. And I kind of think it puts journalists even at a really weird paradox where they're kind of like they're kind of like, we have to report on this, but you look at like Caroline Flack's death.
Yes.
It's like, how do we report on this without, like, how do we do our job without killing another person? You know, and it is different in some circumstances because I know the media did essentially kill Caroline Flack in some areas, you know, but like it gets to a stage where it's like, how do we report on this where we're obviously keeping the news, you know, keeping people informed while also not killing the person who we're informing the public about, if you know what I mean. Like I'm studying journalism in DCU. I'm going into final year next year, and that is something you have to look at, you know, when you are writing about this kind of thing, you know.
You know, in terms of severity of language, the most severe, I imagine, people, when commenting on this, everybody comments on everything. We all have social media. Are the kind of anonymous accounts or the people with no social media following who are only talking to their friends, or like, I think in that, do you kind of get what I mean? Because if you're a big journalist, Piers Morgan, you kind of have more to lose by saying, F that person, they're a dick, you know, like being completely like lacking in any kind of compassion for, we're all human. And now obviously, like, I'm not excusing any serious crimes or whatever. I kind of imagine in that sense that social media is worse than kind of mainstream media. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one, but ultimately, like, how are you going to be right compassionately about Harvey Weinstein, you know?
Yeah, it's like, it is weird. Like, this is the in-between time now where it's like, you know, there's, at the moment, the allegations are there. Are they true? Are they false? Has anyone of authority commented on them? You know what I mean? So you're at this weird place now where it's like this shady area of waiting for some verification of what's happened, you know? And like, for now, that's why it's not in the papers. Like, you know, that's why it's not being reported on. Because obviously it's huge risk. And even if it does rain true, or there's some truth, there's start an investigation. There can't be a name behind it until it's solid, you know, for the sake of his whole life, you know, that kind of way.
Yeah. It's
a strange one.
It's tricky, man. It's tricky, you know, like it is.
Anyway, to keep it kind of upbeat, because it is a weird rabbit hole we've gone down, but nonetheless, it's been good to talk to someone who has also thought about it since obviously it's broke. Anyway, what's next for you, Rob, as a creator online and maybe offline soon? What's your next? Are you just going to keep doing the vids and see what happens, you know, with regards to TikTok or YouTube, or do you have any major plans, anything exciting?
I'm just considering different things, you know. Ultimately, I want to monetize this. So there's a million kind of ways to do that. But for me at the moment, maybe the most obvious one is, you know, a Patreon or something.
Yeah.
But I haven't got one at the moment. But other than that, like really what I'd like to do is go viral on YouTube, because I know how to go viral on TikTok, kind of. I'd like to learn how to go viral on YouTube, and then ad revenue starts to come in, and then moving the lives over to YouTube, building a big audience on YouTube. People can earn great money from lives on YouTube. You know, like I saw a guy, he might have had, I don't know how many people he might have had watching, 500 people, let's say, for 2 hours. And it was, you know, he earned £1,000, you know, English pounds. So
wow.
That's like pretty epic, you know, that's so good. So there's, you know, you can earn a great living doing this. I'm not some kind of money hungry guy. If I was, I would have been like a lawyer or something. I absolutely love what I do. But yeah, I'm just going to try build my audience on TikTok, build my audience everywhere, try to do creative ideas that basically will go viral, be seen by as most amount of people as possible. And just also try to be kind of have some kind of business mind. And I'm kind of surrounded by good people in that sense. So that's good that I can, because I'm not the most business savvy guy naturally, but yeah, I'm surrounded by some good people. So hopefully be somewhat strategic with it as well, you know?
Well, I hope it works out for you, and I would love to have you on again in the future. Thanks so much for coming on, Rob, and you can check him out at Saviourofhaha and Saviourofhaha 2 on TikTok.
You're an absolute legend, man. Keith Barry's been on this, hasn't he?
He has been on this.
And Keith Duffy's been on it.
Yes.
That's fucking animal, man. I'm in good company.
And Rob Reeves.
Yeah, fucking hell. They should be saying that about me. Did they say that about me? You're gonna get Rob Reeves on? I'm only messing.
Since I've got them on, they've known I've been trying to get you on, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Onto your people.
You're an absolute legend, man. Thanks so much for having me on. You're a fucking ledge.
Anytime, man. Once again, a huge thank you to Rob Reeves, aka the Saviourofhaha, for coming on Backchat this week. And until 2 weeks' time, I'll see you and hear from you then. Best of luck.